Daniel chapter 3 verse 19. I want you to also follow this scenario quite closely. Daniel chapter 3 verse 19. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, very angry, and the form of his visage, his appearance was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. That means these guys have made me so angry. If this thing was 100 degrees, I want you to make it 700 degrees. So angry. We're going to throw them in. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. 21. Then these men were bound in their coats, fire and coat and clothing, their hosen and their hats and their other garments, so appropriate for fire, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Verse 22. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The people who were sending them into the fire were consumed by the fire. The thing was so hot. And these 3, verse 23, these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. 24. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished and rose up in haste and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no head, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire, and the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair of their head singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who had sent his angel and delivered his servant that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own God. Therefore, I make a decree that every person or people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut into pieces, or in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. That's a lot of reading. I want you to see the focus of God in that scenario. When that angel, the 4th man, the Son of God, came into the fire, do you see he didn't quench the fire? Which is what we do. That's what you want. Because the God, the dimension and aspect of God you know is a fire quencher. So many people think their prayers have not been answered because the fire is still on. But you don't need the fire to be off. You see, that's the part of God He wants to show you. Do you know that many of us worship the fire? We worship the problems. Because our whole focus and emphasis is the problem. But I can assure you, if you can be as committed to God and His word as you are to the problem, you will see the glory of God. I assure you. These people were cast into the fire. God dispatched an angel into the fire, and He didn't put out the fire. They were in the fire. It took Nebuchadnezzar to say, "Come out of the fire." So assuming he had not come that day and 1 week, they would be in the fire. It's the same thing the angels did. They ministered to Jesus, even though they were wild beasts and there was Satan there. Because you are more important to God than the fire. I tell you. You are more important to God than your problem. You are more important to God than your situation, your circumstance. That's why you don't even have to think maybe this thing will kill you. No, you are more important to God. So God will choose to build you. If God had 5 minutes, He will invest all in you. He won't even say, okay, let me give you 3 minutes and use 2 minutes to quench the fire. No, He will put all the fire on you. Because He knows that if you are sorted, the fire will be taken care of. Hallelujah.